Imagine you're looking through a telescope for the first time. You point it at the night sky, and then there it is, a planet with rings, perfect golden rings. For a second, you think it can't be real. It looks too clean, too symmetrical, like a drawing. That's Saturn, and that's the trap. Because what you're looking at isn't peaceful. It's a planet with winds that would shred you to pieces before you even knew what hit you. A magnetic field that doesn't protect, it tortures. A storm at its north pole that defies every law of nature we thought we understood. And a secret that took scientists decades to uncover. Those rings, the most beautiful thing in the solar system. They're dying, and we might be the last generation of humans to ever see them. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Saturn isn't the jewel of the solar system. It's a trap, one of the most elaborate traps the universe has ever built. Let's start from the beginning. What is Saturn? It's the second largest planet in the solar system, 9 times wider than Earth. You could fit about 760 Earths inside it. It's made almost entirely of hydrogen and helium, which means it has no surface, no ground, nothing to stand on, nothing to land on. If you dropped a spacecraft into Saturn's atmosphere, it would just keep falling. The air gets thicker, denser, heavier, and somewhere far below the clouds, the pressure becomes so extreme that hydrogen stops being a gas and turns into liquid metal, just like Jupiter. But Saturn does something Jupiter doesn't. Saturn is the only planet in the entire solar system less dense than water. That sounds almost funny, but think about what it really means. A planet that could theoretically float. A gas giant so light it defies intuition. But don't let that fool you, because what Saturn lacks in density, it more than makes up for everywhere else. Start with the atmosphere. The wind speeds on Saturn reach up to 1,800 kilometers per hour at the equator. For reference, the strongest hurricane ever recorded on Earth peaked at around 345 kilometers per hour. Saturn's winds are 5 times faster, sustained, permanent, planet-wide. These aren't weather events. They're not storms that come and go. They are the atmosphere. Eternal jet streams tearing across a planet that never rests. And the deeper you go, the worse it gets. Just like the pressure. The temperature at the core of Saturn reaches around 11,700 degrees Celsius, hotter than the surface of the sun. And yet from here, 1.4 billion kilometers away, Saturn looks calm, serene even, a golden ornament hanging in the dark. That's the first lie. Now here's where Saturn stops being just dangerous and starts being genuinely strange. At its north pole, there is a storm. That alone isn't unusual. Jupiter has storms too. But this storm has a shape that should be impossible. It's a hexagon. A perfect 6-sided geometric structure sitting on top of a gas planet that has been there since at least 1981. The first time Voyager photographed it, over 40 years, the same shape, unchanged. Each side of this hexagon is longer than the entire diameter of Earth. The whole structure is roughly 30,000 kilometers across. The winds at its edge blow at over 320 kilometers per hour, and inside it, there's a hurricane, a spiral storm with an eye 50 times larger than a typical hurricane on Earth. Scientists tried to explain it for decades. They recreated it in laboratories, spinning fluid in containers, adjusting rotation speeds. They ran computer simulations, and what they found was both an answer and a deeper mystery. The hexagon forms because of smaller storms surrounding a massive jet stream near the pole, pinching it from the outside, forcing the wind into geometric segments. Physics, pure, chaotic physics, organizing itself into something that looks designed. No other known planet has anything like this. Not Jupiter, not Neptune, not anything we've ever observed in 4,000 plus confirmed exoplanets. Saturn has something that looks like it shouldn't exist, and nobody fully understands why it stayed stable for this long. That's the second lie Saturn tells you. It looks simple. It's not. Saturn has a magnetic field roughly 578 times more powerful than Earth's. Earth's magnetic field is what keeps us alive, deflects the solar wind, protects our atmosphere, makes life possible. Saturn's magnetic field does something far more violent. It traps charged particles from the solar wind and accelerates them. These particles slam into Saturn's moons, bombarding their surfaces with radiation continuously. The entire Saturn system, the rings, most of the moons, sits inside this magnetosphere. In 2017, NASA's Cassini spacecraft made a series of daring passes between Saturn and its ring. This region had never been explored directly before. What Cassini found shocked scientists. A previously unknown radiation belt, entirely separate from the main magnetosphere, trapped between the planet's atmosphere and its innermost ring. Nobody expected it. Nobody had predicted it. It was discovered because a spacecraft flew into it, and the instruments went haywire. That's how we learn things about Saturn. Not through model, through machines surviving long enough to send data back before they're destroyed. Saturn has 274 confirmed moons, more than any other planet in the solar system. Some of them are fascinating. Some of them might harbor life, and all of them are prisoners. Titan, the largest, is bigger than the planet Mercury. It has a dense nitrogen atmosphere, lakes and rivers and seas, not of water, but of liquid methane. On Titan, it rains methane. Rivers of methane carve channels through frozen nitrogen landscapes. The temperature is around minus 179 degrees Celsius. Some scientists think Titan could have life, but not life as we know it. Something completely alien, built on chemistry we don't fully understand yet. And then there's Enceladus. Enceladus is a small moon, barely 500 kilometers across. It should be a frozen, dead rock, Instead, it has a global ocean of liquid water beneath its icy surface, and from cracks at its south pole, called tiger stripes, it sprays that water into space in enormous geysers. Cassini flew through those geysers. It detected water, organic molecules, molecular hydrogen, ingredients that, on Earth, are associated with hydrothermal vents where life thrives in total darkness. Enceladus may be one of the most likely places in the solar system to find life beyond Earth, and it's sitting inside the radiation belt of one of the most hostile planets in the solar system. Every moon around Saturn exists inside something that wants to destroy it. They survive anyway. That's Saturn's relationship with everything around it. Threat and promise at the same time. Now, the thing nobody talks about enough. The rings. They're the reason Saturn is famous. They're the first thing anyone notices, and they're disappearing. Not in 2025. That was just an optical illusion. A ring plane crossing where Earth lined up perfectly with the edge of the rings, making them nearly invisible for a few months. That happens every 15 years or so. The rings came back. But here's what's actually happening. The rings are made of billions of pieces of ice and rock, some the size of a grain of sand, some the size of a mountain, and Saturn's gravity is slowly pulling them down. It's called ring rain. Charged particles from the solar wind ionize the ice particles at the outer edge of the ring. Once ionized, Saturn's magnetic field pulls them along field line, directly into the planet's atmosphere, where they burn up. NASA scientists calculated the rate in 2018. At the speed the rings are losing material, the entire ring system could be gone in somewhere between 100 million and 300 million years. The rings might have only formed around 400 million years ago, which means they've existed for less than 10% of Saturn's total lifespan. We are watching them in the middle of their existence, maybe past the middle, and when they're gone, Saturn will just look like another gas giant, unremarkable, distant, just another point of light in a telescope. The rings aren't ancient, they're not permanent. They were here before the dinosaur, and they may be gone before humans ever leave this solar system permanently. We are right now, the lucky one. We get to see them. In 2017, a spacecraft named Cassini had been orbiting Saturn for 13 years. It had revolutionized everything we thought we knew about the planet and its moons. It had discovered geysers on Enceladus. It had photographed the hexagon. It had mapped Titan, but it was running out of fuel, and the scientists faced a choice. They could let Cassini drift, potentially crash into Enceladus or Titan, contaminating moons that might harbor life, or they could steer it into Saturn's atmosphere deliberately and let it burn. They chose to let it burn. On September 15th, 2017, Cassini made its final plunge. It sent data back for as long as it could, measuring the atmosphere it was falling through, transmitting every last second of science it could manage, and then it was gone. It didn't just go silent, it became part of Saturn. That's how much this planet demands from us. Even our best machines, designed and built to survive the hostile outer solar system, eventually get consumed, not by violence, not by a catastrophic failure, by inevitability. When you look at Saturn tonight, and you can, with just a basic telescope, sometimes even with binoculars, remember what you're actually seeing. A planet with storms that have no equivalent anywhere else we've found. Winds that never stop, a magnetic field that reshapes space around it, a hexagonal structure that defies everything we intuitively understand about weather, moons that might harbor life, sitting inside one of the most radiation-soaked environments in the solar system, and ring, beautiful, fragile, temporary ring. Galileo saw them for the first time in 1610. He didn't know what they were. He thought Saturn had ears. When the rings vanished during a ring plane crossing 2 years later, he wrote, and I'm paraphrasing that Saturn had devoured its own children. He wasn't wrong about the feeling. Saturn consumes things. It consumes material. It consumes rings. It consumes spacecraft. It consumes our assumptions about what a planet is supposed to look like. It's not beautiful because it's peaceful. It's beautiful because it's dangerous, and it doesn't care that we're watching. We'll be here for a few thousand more years if we're lucky. Saturn will be here for billions, and the whole time, those rings will keep falling, quietly, inevitably, grain by grain. See you, space cowboy.